From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is the Night Beat, sponsored by Pella Windows and Doors of Lincoln.
Good evening and thank you for joining me. I'm Jessica Blum with your headlines for Tuesday, March 17th. First, fires are still burning in western Nebraska. Our crews have been out talking to people impacted. The number of acres that have burned since these fires first sparked last week continues to grow, now up to a total of nearly 830,000 acres. Our Darsha Dodge is at the Cottonwood Fire near Brady and talked to a family that's been ready to bolt since the fires began.
As the Cottonwood Fire swept across Lincoln County, it burned right up to the ridge you see behind me, overlooking the Hoagland's Ranch here near Brady. They were packing up, loading up animals, and hoping for the best, getting ready to leave when the winds changed at the last minute, sparing their farm. But they are still cautious, saying every day is like Groundhog Day. Every day they're waiting to see more smoke and flames come over the hillside. Even as we were there chatting, a plume of black smoke suddenly came up in the direction of Jeffrey Lake. The Hoaglands have lived here for more than a decade, saying they've never seen a fire like this.
By the time we came back, that wind had changed, and that was the only thing that saved all this, because it was here, it was coming.
They're so thankful for the fire crews who came to help, including those who helped get them loaded and safely behind pivots with running water. Their 5 adult children have taken turns coming to visit, exchanging lots of hugs and tears at how close they came to losing everything. The Cottonwood Fire has burned more than 131,000 acres as of this afternoon. That's almost twice the size of the city of Lincoln. Reporting in Lincoln County on the Cottonwood Fire, Darsha Dodge, 1011 News.
In an update earlier today, officials say the Morrill Fire has burned over 643,000 acres, its largest wildfire in state history. Crews have made progress putting out the blaze as it's now 18% contained. Firefighters are continuing to strengthen those containment lines. There are currently 200 people working at that fire, which is spread into 3 other counties. The Morrill County wildfire took the life of 86-year-old Rose White in Arthur County. This hardworking woman is remembered by 4 kids, 6 grandkids, and 12 great-grandkids. Her son, Roger White, owns R Tire and Alignment in Ogallala. We visited his workplace where he shared the events of that devastating day with 1011's Grace McDonald.
This is what used to be our home.
Or what's left of it.
Over 100 years burned to the ground.
By the Morrill County wildfire.
This is what used to be the barn.
And it's where the life of Roger's mother, Rose White, began and ended.
I'm guessing with the smoke and all that, she got disoriented and she drove a little off the road and she got stuck. And then we found her body about 15 feet from the pickup.
In fact, it was a neighbor who called Rose on March 12th to tell her to get out fast because the wildfires were approaching her home in Arthur County. Now, Rose also wasn't the type to have a cell phone or a computer, so her son Roger called her on the landline at about 7 p.m. that day. Together, they devised a plan for Rose to drive down to Ogallala to meet family.
And she said, okay, let me get some clothes together and I'll be right there. And we were sitting there waiting, and about 8:30, it's like, no. So I jumped in my pickup and I went up there.
Roger searched with the Grant and Arthur County sheriffs to find her.
It always comes back on yourself, what you could have done different.
Rose is missed by loved ones, including neighbor Julie Hawkins, who lives here in Arthur County.
You couldn't go to Rose's in under an hour on trick or treat. Who would have imagined that fire would move so fast? They just don't make another Rose.
But most of all, Rose loved her family.
She had her camera out taking pictures of everybody, and so nobody really had very many pictures of her, but we're trying to round up what we can.
So this hard-working woman can be remembered for her bravery. Reporting in Ogallala, Grace McDonald, 1011 News.
Thank you, Grace. And while crews continue working to contain the Morrill Fire, people across the area are beginning to take stock of what was lost and what comes next. One local, Travis Sullivan, says when the flames moved through land near his property, about 10 miles north of Oshkosh, he spent hours hauling water back and forth, attempting to keep the fire from taking even more. Coming up tonight at 10, we will hear more about what was lost and what's next for his land. Progress is also being made on the fire burning near the Nebraska National Forest by Halsey. The Road 203 fire has torched nearly 36,000 acres, with now up to 76% of the fire considered contained. As containment increases, officials say they are evaluating opportunities to gradually scale down the resources in the coming days. There are 153 people responding to that fire. At a conference originally focused on ethanol in Nebraska, Governor Jim Pillen joined the Farm Bureau, which says it is activating their disaster relief fund and are kicking it off with a $10,000 donation to help with these efforts. Governor Pillen shared that Husker Athletic Director Troy Dannon reached out to him today, saying that the university will be donating all the money raised from ticket sales for the spring game to those who have been affected. He also spent some time thanking those volunteers who are risking their lives.
Extraordinary sobering, extraordinary humbling, and incredibly emotionally for me to be able to meet our volunteer firefighters that have been working endless and being exhausted and seeing their eyes, and yet they weren't going to quit.
Yesterday, Pillen signed an executive order which waived weight limit and load restrictions on truckers moving supplies to farmers and ranchers hurt by the wildfires. Now to put up a map on these fires again, just to give you spatial awareness as to where these maps have been burning for quite some time. Again, we're talking about 4 wildfires, including the largest in the state's history, the Morrill Fire way out west in the Panhandle that has burned through Morrill, Garden, Arthur, and Keith counties. Again, that fire is now up to 643,000 acres that it has completely burned, now up to 18% contained. The update on the Cottonwood fire has that fire at 131,000 acres burned, but it is now at 40% containment with the latest update from officials. Good news is, as these fire icons continue to look dimmer, the fires are turning out to be more controlled. So the Road 203 fire that has burned nearly 36,000 acres has been now contained at 76%. And the Anderson Bridge fire, furthest north that we know the least about, has burned 17,400 acres. The good news being that we haven't seen much to report on a different number for those acres. It still remains at 60% contained. And in the midst of historic wildfires, the American Red Cross is doing its part to help out where it can. We spoke to an official today who says volunteers are welcoming displaced residents at a shelter in Brady, Nebraska, north of the Cottonwood fire.
We're going to make sure that we give them a place to stay, a warm place to stay, roof over their head. What we will do in the long run is we're going to work with each individual who's been affected and set up what we call recovery plans. So an opportunity for us to look at what your individual needs are. Do you need help with insurance stuff? Do you help with storage? Do you help find a new home or a temporary place to stay?
The Red Cross has also helped to support a respite center in North Platte for firefighters working out west, with access to meals, snacks, showers, and a place to rest between shifts. If you've been impacted by the wildfires or know someone who has, you can call the Red Cross for assistance at 1-800-RED-CROSS. Finally tonight, and rounding out your night beat, is a check of the 7-day forecast. As we talk about the wildfires ongoing out west, another red flag warning will be in place for late Wednesday morning through the afternoon and evening time frame. That being said, back here at home, we expect 2 top 10-11 days with temperatures in the 70s, fairly light winds into Thursday. Before the start of spring on Friday, we'll feel more summer-like. We are contending with record warmth both Friday and Saturday with high temperatures in the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. We're almost hot for this time of the year, with previous records from 2022 and 1907 potentially being broken by these temperatures we're seeing late this week and into the weekend. Beyond that, seasonal temperatures will come back into play by the end of the weekend with more wind on Sunday.
You've been listening to The Night Beat, sponsored by Pella Windows and Doors of Lincoln. Watch, listen, and stream on the 1011 app on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.